Guru Nation, we are live. There is no need for music in an era that is dominated by bots and copyright violation algorithms. We won't do that for the sake of Baba Yaga, not for my sake. Um, I don't even go live on YouTube. I put the replay on YouTube, Darshan.
Do you? Okay,
That's
I go live
the
on YouTube already. We're live on YouTube as we
We are
speak.
live on Darshan's YouTube. Everybody should go subscribe on Darshan's LinkedIn. Everybody should go connect on my X account, on my LinkedIn, and on my Facebook. So, good morning to everybody out there. Listen, we got some cold brew. We got some Better Call Darshan.
There you go.
All
There you
right.
go. I love
We
it.
are going to be getting into a lot of topics where you might want to consider calling Darshan. And you know what's interesting? We were planning Save Our Sites yesterday, and you're gonna be on the panel for sure.
Oh,
By
I'm
the way,
excited to be on there.
right now it's early birds, so saveoursites.com. You guys go register right now, and please book a room at the hotel. We prepaid for 380 rooms, so
Wow. How many
yeah, if
people
we
are you
don't sell
expecting this
them,
year?
like 400 something.
Wow.
I mean, last year we had like just shy of 400, so it's
Yeah.
like a conservative. It's my conservative estimate. People think I'm like crazy, like optimistic. I'm actually conservative when it comes to those kind of things.
What kind of place has 400 rooms? That sounds like a massive
The
hotel.
Omni Hotel, man. It's a four
Wow.
star. I think it's Oklahoma City's finest, if I dare say.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. I've never
I've
been.
never been to Oklahoma
We,
City.
Me either. Hey, that's gonna be a first for everybody. We got a lot of surprises for SOS Nation, Guru Nation, the Cool Carney Nation. There's a lot of overlap, right?
100%. 100%. In fact, we're doing an overlap right now. 4 sites.
These overlap is insane because like we're leading up to it, but these fraud pods, the essence of these fraud pods are to scare you into submission or scare you into compliance. One of the two, or just scare you. Period. Which probably
Or
is
just make
more
you compliant.
descriptive of me. Yeah. No, it just scares me. But then I'm like, okay, back to business as usual. Mind you, our monitors have said we have had very good monitoring visits for
It's
three
awesome.
years. I even told Katie, it's almost a mini miracle. Like, no major monitor complaints. Of course, we've had deviations and stuff like that, but and there's things I don't like that we need to tighten up, which I'm going to talk to the staff about tomorrow. But dude, I can't complain, man. Like for relatively new staff, new PIs, it's been going really good. So
So how are you finding your PIs?
word of mouth through my first PI we got, who's Dr. Robert Smith,
Yep.
who has Yuma's largest private practice for internal medicine.
Are you sure this is his real name? That seems like a fake name. Robert Smith,
Yeah,
brother of John Smith.
I thought it was Smythe because it's spelled Smythe.
Oh, Smythe. Okay, got it. I'm with you.
But I asked him day one, how do you pronounce your name? He said Smith.
Okay.
Very normal, like down to earth dude. But he's actually one of the few doctors that's a decent business person because most of these doctors are not good business people.
What makes for a good business person, in your opinion, for running a clinical trial site specifically?
Not just the site, just in general, because in my opinion, the best sites have private practices associated with them.
Right.
So removing themselves from the operation, at least from the private practice, and allowing yourself. See, most physicians, the reason I say they're not good business people, they are a hostage to their own practice.
Yeah.
And that causes, when they try to scale, built on that foundation of sand, that causes a lot of things like fraud pod topics, which we get into.
The reason I asked the question is actually I'm going through a similar thing myself for my own law firm, where I'm kind of getting to the point where I think I need to scale. And I'm doing, as you know, the software. I'm doing the training with you
Yeah.
on the program, and we're kind
Oh,
of.
you're top tier. I mean, if you have a podcast, you're top tier already. Like from your cohorts,
Oh,
top
you're
tier.
kind. Thank you. But my point being, I keep going, do I need to get my own CEO? Not
Mm,
because I couldn't do it, but because sometimes you need
yeah,
someone who's outside to look
yeah,
in and go,
yeah,
this is the overall strategy.
yeah. Our doctor has his wife is like the business person, like micromanaging stuff,
Yeah.
and then they've got an office manager who kind of micromanages the day to day of the office
So that's
itself.
the COO, for lack of a better term. So she's
Yeah,
the CEO.
basically. Yeah, it's like a CEO, COO, and then our PI. He still sees patients, but he's one of 11 clinicians, and he does have time for research. Like when we need him to do a physical, sometimes we only have to wait like 20 minutes, 30 minutes in between patients. He'll come in, do a physical. He'll actually have really good bedside manner, meet with the patient, especially for a screening. He'll explain the study. It's rare, and then he referred us to anytime I needed a specialist because he's very well respected in Yuma and he has a very good reputation. Anytime I need a specialist, hey Dr. Smith, I need a dermatologist. Oh, go talk to Dr. Harris. Boom, Dr. Harris now is interested. Oh, hey, I need
Great.
a cardiologist. Okay, go talk to Faseha. Who's that? Oh, he's over there. Okay, Faseha. Boom. Like when I go see those doctors, they're like, "Oh, you work with Smith? Okay, I'm in." Like it's not even a sales pitch anymore. So it's been amazing. We've had 4 other specialists because of him. So yeah, that's to answer your question in a long-about way. But I do see most clinicians are not good business people, and they've never been trained in
Yeah.
business.
Did you ever go to like business school?
Yeah, but it was like so when I graduated from U of A pre-med, so I had molecular cellular biology as my bachelor's, and then immediately started working at the site. Within 6 months, I was in a ownership role, like which was crazy, and I knew nothing about it. So I enrolled in University of Phoenix. There was a campus nearby, and it was a 18-month program. So I did an MBA through University of Phoenix, which many would consider not a real MBA, but I actually it was not expensive compared to like other MBA programs, and I feel like I did learn couple things that I still use, like microeconomics. They had a really good course on microeconomics. These days, you can get all
Why
that
would
for
you ever use
free.
microeconomics though? Like,
Microeconomics is all it's more practical to us
you
entrepreneurs
think?
than macro. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, more than macro, but is it really?
The
Does it really impact
concepts,
your day
the
to day? Okay.
concepts, yeah, not day to day, but it established the framework for like
Interesting.
opening new businesses. And I mean, if you don't understand supply and demand, competitive analysis, um, understanding who your competition is, and you kind of are at a disadvantage.
So, so when you're choosing your CEO, your next PI who has a business, what
Hmm.
do you look for in? We seem to have flipped this around somehow. I'm interviewing you, but this is fun anyways for me.
No, that's fine. It's your channel too. Shout out to Cool Carney
Darshan
Gang.
Talks and the Kulkarni law firm.
Oh,
You
okay, but
can.
what do you call your viewers? Cool Carney Gang?
I don't have a thing for that yet. I'm gonna have to
Ah,
talk to you to come up with a. You had Guru Nation, which I've been
so
very
you can
jealous
do
of
Baba
for years.
Yaga Nation.
Oh my God, Nation. Um, the Dreadnoughts.
I don't know what that means.
Um, well, I think there was like something called the Dreadnoughts at some point. There was some sci-fi show that had Dreadnoughts in there. I'll
Yeah,
have to look
man,
it
you
up at
gotta
some
do
point.
better than that.
I do. I can do better than that. I promise I'll work on it.
Thank
See,
you.
you have catchy stuff. I got to work on that. This
Guru
is why I
Nation
need the
came out
CEO.
naturally. Like it just happened one day. I was like, "Hey, Guru Nation," because I got tired of saying uh thank you for coming to Klenko Chalk Guru, so I just shortened it.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's what ChatGPT is for. That I'll spend some
Yeah,
time on
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
But if you were going to pick, so you are now Tim Cook. You are now the Dan Safara. So instead of running Apple, you're now gonna find the next person to take Yuma clinical trials to the
To the
next
next
level.
level. Yeah, yeah.
How do you pick this person?
They cannot be the same as me. So I think I'm good to get the company to a certain stage.
Right.
So that 0 to 1 type of thing.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
I I wouldn't say I suck, but I definitely do not enjoy the controlled growth or management phase,
Hmm.
like where you have to have more formal structures and
Right.
people report to different people. And that's a different personality type, in my opinion. Um, Now I take more risks. That person probably is not going to. They're not gonna want to. Um, but when I look to replace myself, it's gonna be somebody with a slightly different skill set than my own.
So are you gonna look for like first of all, are you gonna put out a job ad or are you gonna go, I want referrals?
I would really like to just promote from within. One of my
Mm.
coordinators who's already there. I mean, all four of them are potentially good. They're all young too, so you can kind of mold them into what you want, right?
But how can you mold someone to be someone you're not?
They have raw ingredients already, but the rest is like they're moldable, they're malleable, they're still like 20 something in their
No, I get
early
that.
20s.
But in your case, you're talking about, for example, what you just pointed out earlier was
Mm.
you would be you want someone who's not you, someone who, for example, likes structure, someone who can do that controlled
Yeah,
growth.
yeah.
But you said you don't like controlled growth, you don't like that structure. So how do you
Mm-mm.
train someone to like controlled growth when you're not that person?
Oh, because they already have their tendencies. Like you can see it. Like
Okay.
if you look at Katie, I mean, she's super organized, and same thing with someone like Luis, who we have. Like they already have those tendencies, and they're already doing it
Got it.
themselves without being told.
Okay.
So it's already there. You just got to water it. It's like a gardening.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's already
Okay.
there. It's already germinating.
So
It's
let me
not that I couldn't do it myself.
yeah, it's just
I
not you want to
just
enjoy it.
feel I don't enjoy it, which right now at this stage in my life is not worth doing. And I feel like my opportunity cost can be better spent somewhere else doing
Yeah.
something different. Like 0 to 1, another patient ace, another SOS,
Yeah.
something like that.
Um and in your case you have these opportunities. Let's
Yeah.
say you are Darshan, who's trying to decide how to take all of his different businesses, trying to decide, okay, I need someone to pull it all together. Would you say it's a consultant who helps you pull it all together, or would
Mm-mm.
you say it's
No.
Darshan, or would you say it's a CEO, or how does this come
I don't
together?
know. I mean, how many employees do you have? Do you have
Depends on which business you're talking about and how many. I have consultants, I have employees, I have
Can you
different things,
promote from
vendors.
within? Like
Not
where
really, no. I mean, there's someone who heads like India operations for me, but that's pretty much it.
hmm.
She's great. She's amazing.
I mean the risk there's a couple of things like the new wave of graduates are not very entrepreneurial
Right.
minded, like Gen Z.
Hmm?
It's I don't like to stereotype or
Right.
categorize, I guess, but they are not taught to fend for themselves. They're taught, hey, go find a job,
They
very
want
industrial
stability.
revolution type of
Yeah.
mentality. And you can find someone, just pay them. They've got a lot of debt. Just pay them their salary. You can do like some of these clinics do out here in the underserved areas. When an NP comes out of nursing school, out of NP school, like 300K debt, they pay their student loans for them. It's golden handcuffs, right? They pay their student loans for them in exchange for like 5 years. And
Yeah.
as soon as they decide to leave, then they owe like a lot. It's structured in a way where it doesn't make sense for them to leave.
So you have to be careful with that. And I haven't looked into it specifically with this framework, but with the new FTC rules, which got overturned in Texas, but Pennsylvania still allows it,
Hmm.
and different states have their own rules around that, it's going to be complex as to whether you can create those types of shackles, if you will.
Yeah, I would never do that. I don't like to have it, but my employees are not that kind of salary levels, right?
Sure.
Yours would be if you need it. I'm guessing you would need an attorney to take
I don't
over.
even know if in fact, I don't think I need an attorney.
Then it's easier. I mean, I think that's something you can. Maybe it's not a very scalable business, but it's a lifestyle business that still allows you freedom to do other things too.
Because I was thinking I need like I'm thinking sales. I need someone to help in sales. I need someone to sort of tie. I'm doing software. I'm doing this teaching. I'm doing the law
Yeah,
firm.
yeah. You just
Why
need
do they
like
all
a
make
project
sense?
manager, I think. You just need a PM and
My issue is not the PM part of it. My issue is I'm tied into doing all of those things myself.
yeah.
So
So
I feel like I'm missing the bigger picture. Like, why am I doing it? Because I can, or because there's a point?
the E-Myth Revisited, it tells you like,
Right.
just reverse engineer every aspect of what you're doing day to day and see who you can hire for those things. Like build a training manual for each component.
Yeah. Hmm.
They use that was one of the first books I read, man. Oh five, like first books I read as an adult. Oh 05, oh 06. For myself. That wasn't forced upon me by some
Sure.
professor. And yeah, it taught me a lot, man. McDonald's, they use the example of McDonald's and how no matter which McDonald's you go to, the burger's the same,
Yeah.
the fries are the same, and that's because of systems. Like every aspect is
S- So I'm a big fan of systems, but you know what, Dan? Here's where you need to get the compliment. There is no other human clinical trials. You are the only one who does Yuma the way you do.
right, right,
And there's no other site that does it the way you do it. I'm not saying that you're uber successful. I'm not saying you're amazing, but your site represents you in a way that no other site does.
right,
And Brad
right.
does that too. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying to replicate Yuma clinical trials in another place, although you could. I'm saying to the systems still apply for any person within that site to step away. So you're not dependent on any one
Yeah.
individual. The systems apply to replicate it somewhere else or to manage it internally. They serve the same purpose.
Yeah.
Theoretically, like someone should be able to come in. If your systems are really good, someone should be able to come in and right away like pick up where the last person left off. Now that's more idealistic than the reality, but the closer you can get to that, the better your systems actually are.
Yeah. I need to work through those systems. Now, would you create systems early on or would you wait till later?
It depends. If you've done that business before, you can do it early on. If it's a new business for you as well and you're learning as you go, you create as you go. And like our tech stuff, like we talked about our SOPs, our tech stuff, like things change. You need to add to your SOPs,
Yeah.
but the SOPs are not even your system. Those are just your that's like the macro. The systems are like the micro stuff that we try not to have like auditable. It's kind of like off the grid. Like, this is how you're gonna do it, but it's kind of like uh it's not formally documented. Maybe it's like through videos. We have some videos at our site, like, hey, when you start using Creo, this is how you're gonna do it. They're made in a way that's not auditable, if that makes sense. Because it may not all be compliant with,
Right.
like, and this is where you get involved, I guess.
Yeah. Selma has a
Selma,
question.
the book is The E-Myth Revisited. It's probably rewritten many times now by Michael Gerber, like the baby food. Not to be confused with Guru. Some people thought my Clangotra Guru was Clangotra Gerber back in the day. They were like,
Ooh,
why is your brand baby food? I said, no, it's Guru, not Gerber. They really asked that. Can you believe that? They
that's
didn't know
funny
what a
though.
guru meant.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Not every business is really meant to be scaled. Like some are lifestyle businesses, and I think that's where doctors um, need to decide: is your business, first of all, is it a scalable business? Do you want that, or are you okay with just having it as a lifestyle business? Because you don't need to necessarily have systems and all that for a
I think
lifestyle business.
the problem with lifestyle businesses is that there's no intrinsic value in many of them. You can't really sell a lifestyle business in
Correct,
the same way.
correct, correct. But you may not always need to. Like, what if you have 5 lifestyle businesses and only one's worth selling?
And that's the core. And I think I have that problem right now. And I'm going,
Yeah, and
I don't think you guys said
a
this.
lot of doctors do too, which is kind of what we're gonna get into today
Yeah,
with like side hustles. They're too prestigious to ever call it a hustle, but at
right.
the end of the day, it's a side hustle.
It
And a
is.
lot of doctors treat research as a side hustle,
They do.
which gets to Baba Yaga time. Julio Flamini, we would love to have you on. I actually haven't read this, but Darshan.
No, I haven't read this either. So it's
Ah,
brand new for both
okay.
of us.
Ah,
So
good.
this came on August 20th, and today
You
is
just picked that random, right? For no.
no. There was no reason. It was one of the
Okay.
latest ones on there. That's the only reason I picked it up. However, it is from Clinical and Integrative Research Center of Atlanta,
Do you know who they
and
are?
they had issues with the protocol, basically not following research protocol. They gave him a 483, and there was a
Yikes.
written response, but failed to ensure the investigation was conducted according to the investigational plan. The key piece here, over and over again, is something I see often, which is doctors confuse practice of medicine with research. And they keep going, you know what? This is what's the best for the patient, and that's totally okay. But then take the patient out of the research study. You can't do a research study with the product and then say, "Oh, I'm going to do whatever I want with it." That's not what that is.
Yeah. I think I know this study.
Really?
I mean, it could be many, but we've had
Sure.
one that was similar and it was tricky, man. The sponsor didn't make it easy for you to figure out the titration schedule and all that.
Yeah, require the protocol specified titration schedule. Please, subject received approximately 10 times the maximum daily dose and was exposed to an increased risk of adverse events. Well,
Look,
that's
if your
hugely problematic.
staff doesn't know how to do this, you can do that. Like I remember whether or not this was that study is irrelevant. We had a study similar to this.
Yeah.
And I remember me personally, not anyone else. Me personally, like the day before our first randomization visit, I spent with the unblinded pharmacist. I was not on the study, so I
Just to
was
be clear,
alone.
when you use the word pharmacist, you don't actually mean pharmacist, do you?
No, the person titrating
Got it.
the stuff, which was an MA who's in nursing school now, and the sponsor said that's fine. I spent time with both of them and the NP, who's our sub I, going through like, okay, and we didn't know what the randomization was going to spit out, right? There was like
Right.
5 different options. We went
Right.
through every single one. If this is the case,
Right.
I want you to go to the actual syringe and show me how much you're going to draw. Like, show me.
Right. Right. Right.
Because it could be confusing. Is it 0.1? Is it 1? I don't want them to do it like on accident the wrong dose. This
And
was
I think that's exactly
exactly
what it was.
what was going through my head. And I spent maybe 5 hours, man.
Yeah.
5 hours doing this, and I was so nervous the
What
day
was the
of,
age on the patients?
like in the 50s.
Yeah. See, that's interesting because according to this protocol, these patients are between 12 and 18 years old.
Okay, mine was for an osteoarthritis study, so they were older.
Uh,
This is not the same study, but the same concept.
yeah. I mean, it could be even the same
It'd be even
protocol.
worse with kids.
Exactly.
Come on. I'd have
And
spent 3 days doing.
here's the worst part. They stated no adverse events were reported following the incident. Dude, you gave the kid a freaking 12 to 18-year-old kid 10 times the dose. That's
Of God knows
crazy.
what. It looks like eosinophils or something with like
Exactly. They had
immunosuppressant or
eosinophil and systemic symptom syndrome.
so some MAB, you think, or monoclonal?
I haven't. It might be a MAB. It might be a monoclonal antibody, but I don't know.
It's crazy, man. It is crazy to me. Like this, what you pulled up is not uncommon. If I
No,
didn't spend 5 hours, they probably wouldn't have messed up because those MAs were sharp. Like they prepare injections all day in the private practice. But I'm telling you, man, some of those titration schedules are insane. I wish I had it here to show you. Like the IRT doesn't spit out exactly what you should do. The IRT spits out a range.
it's
And then you
you're
have to,
literally saying what these guys responded with. They were like, no,
yeah,
no, we had no electronic dose calculator, and
exactly. They don't. They give you this huge chart and you've got to like cross-reference the dose with the BMI.
Right.
They don't do the BMI for you. And
Right.
then it's not their present BMI, it's their BMI at baseline, at
Right.
least in our study.
Well, the
There's
problem is what
so
happens
many
is you,
ways you can screw this up. So many. I'm surprised there's not more 483s, honestly.
the problem with BMIs, first of all, is BMI. What do you do for adjusted weights? Do you actually use BMI or do you use an adjusted body weight?
No, they use an adjusted body weight because that graph shows like gives different ranges.
Right.
So you have to find where they are within
Yeah.
that range. It's way too complex, man. The IRT should just spit out what you should do. But the sponsor doesn't want that liability. Or the tech
Yeah.
vendor doesn't. I don't know. They have their own Darshan telling them, no, we recommend
Or they
passing
just
the
didn't think it was a
liability
big
on the
enough
site.
issue. They thought
No,
it's easy enough to
they know
follow.
it's a big enough issue.
Really?
I think the tech vendor has a Darshan or an army of Darshans that tells them, hey, do you give the liability to the PI with this chart?
I don't think so. My experience is that you get contracted to do certain things as the tech vendor, you'd be happy to do it. But you want the information from the sponsor. And the sponsor should be happy to give that because they're not giving patient specific advice. They're saying this is for this dose and this weight, this dose,
But
this
that
dose.
tech vendor is a huge CRO that has
Oh,
power.
really?
Yeah. Like
Interesting.
it's their own in-house tech.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If I was there, I wouldn't push back on something like that. To me, that I'm just copying it from the physician.
Yeah.
Sorry,
The problem
from
is
the
like
sponsor.
one glitch or something and
Yeah,
somebody dies or gets a really bad injury and
but that's easy to fix and find and all those things. So that's not usually the biggest issue. Um,
but I
use
kind
it
of
at
feel
Kappa.
for this guy, the PI. I mean, this can happen, man. If me
I
and the
mean, it obviously
NP
happened. Yeah,
if me and the NP didn't sit, I think like I said, our MAs probably wouldn't screwed it up, but it's like it becomes more of a coin flip.
yeah, yeah.
And then what happens if that MA is sick and they ask the backup to do it?
So
Like that.
yeah,
This is real life stuff. Like, what if the sharp MA
is
is
off
not
that
there
day.
that day? Yeah.
Yeah,
Then you get the other one who's overworked and you're
yeah.
asking her for a favor, and in between her 5 patients, she's gonna pull up a syringe because you're asking her for one. She could
Well,
care
is she
less.
even on the
Yeah,
delegation
she
of
is
authority?
as a backup. Yeah.
Okay, because you'll see often that sometimes they don't add the backup.
Right. In this case, they were, but they're not. Doesn't mean they're well trained. Like the backups are not nowhere near the.
Correct. Correct. What I also find fascinating is the Kappa plan that they had. Collaboration to ensure accurate dose calculations. I don't know what that word means.
Probably means
Uh,
what me and my NP were doing the day before. Like,
that could be. That's one definition of
let's
collaboration.
huddle around and let's show me the actual syringe. I don't trust you.
And maybe, but I think better than that, instead of collaboration, is every single dose gets checked by two people.
Well, that's supposed to be already. That's in the source. In our study, that was already in the source.
No, but again, did it happen? Because how do you have two
Yeah.
people make the same mistake?
Well, because this one that's supposed to check is like, all right, looks good.
And that's the problem. Then they're not checking. Then they're just sort of signing off.
Or they don't know. Because
But
like those, I'm telling you, those things are confusing as fuck.
oh,
Especially when the
1,000%.
when the
Yeah.
sponsors from Europe or Asia, and they use different like units,
Yeah.
and the MAs here are trained in the U.S.
Yep.
units, and they're
Yep.
like, wait a minute, oh, I don't want to give 10 times more. Is it really
Yeah.
point one or one?
As someone who's drawn this a million times, you do this for you'll do this for the chemotherapeutic drugs all the time, and it's a pain
Yeah,
in the ass.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just surprised it doesn't happen more, man. Like this one to me. Sometimes when you pull up the warning letters,
yeah.
I'm like, wow, I can't believe. In this one, I'm like, no, this I could see it happening.
Here's the thing. I think it is also. It's not that it doesn't happen more often. It's that it doesn't get called out as often.
Yeah,
Because I guarantee it happens very, very routinely.
yeah.
It
Well, and
just
this is why. Listen, the risk mitigation for the sponsor and CRO is this is why they say within 1 week of your first randomization, a monitor will be there. Now, what happened if that monitor couldn't come 1 week? They had to come 3 weeks. Well, now you randomize three more people, and now you repeated the same mistake for 4 people. They're supposed to stop you at 1 and say, "Let me make sure. Okay, you guys are doing it well."
But what
You
do they
know,
look at when they come in that first visit?
they'll look at this stuff,
They
like
will look
how
at the
did you
actual
dose?
pull up of the drugs.
Yeah, how did you dose? Where is it documented? Yeah, they will.
Now, here's my other question. One of the things that I see happen often, and I had to talk to a doctor's office about this recently, where they'll pull up the drug, they'll pull out, like, let's say you're expecting 3 people there, that 3 patients waiting. You'll draw them all out, you'll keep them, doctor's gonna go in, talk to the patient. By the time the patient gets the drug, it's an hour and a half by the time you've pulled up the drug and it's given.
Right.
People don't think about sterility and stability concerns. Most drugs you'll have a longer stability time. Not always the case with monoclonal antibodies, but sterility becomes a real concern. You might be injecting patients with infected product at that point, so you have to be careful about what your actual SOPs allow for and what are
Especially
people
in
doing.
chemo and stuff like that, huh?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff you just at a practical level you simply don't see. And I don't know if any um monitor even knows to ask those questions.
No, they do. They do. Um, they give you so in our study that was similar to this,
Yeah,
they gave us like how long you can even prepare. They even had um a plan for, if the unblinded pharmacist is not their day of randomization, but
sure.
let's pretend the patient's coming in tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
But I know that Anthony, who was our unblinded pharmacist, is not there tomorrow, but Anthony's in there today.
yeah.
Anthony can actually go prepare the med today and leave it on the shelf. It was in the protocol. Like you have 48 hours
That's a
to
huge
leave it.
problem. That is a huge problem
Yeah.
because you have to be careful about sterility and stability. Like, for example, when you're drawing it up um, for insulin, for example, we used to do this in the hospital for insulins.
Mm.
You draw it up for up to 24 hours, and then you have to trash it because if you
Correct.
trash,
Correct.
um, and that's useful
I
because,
think this one was 36 hours, and
but you
it
know
had
why
to be
24?
at ambient.
Yeah, but
This
you have see that this is exactly the reason why,
mm,
because there's a difference between sterility and stability.
mhm,
36 hours speaks to an ambient temperature speaks to stability,
mhm.
which means that the drug won't denature.
Okay.
However, the fact is that any drug, when you leave it outside, bugs will get into it and they'll start growing.
Hmm.
And no one can tell me, literally, no
Mm.
one can tell me that you can keep something out open for 36 hours and you won't get any bugs in it.
Like
I,
even
I
in a pre-filled syringe or something?
if it's a pre-filled syringe, then that's different.
That's what it was in this case.
Okay, but you said it's pulled out for 36 hours when you drawn
Yeah,
back. So
you could prepare it and then leave it.
wait, when you say pre-filled, do you mean like it's a cartridge, or do you mean you're pulling it up from a vial?
You're pulling up from a vial.
And that's not pre-filled. When I use the word
Okay.
pre-filled, I'm talking cartridge. Um,
Okay, I see.
but once you pull it up, you've already destroyed um, the actual container. At
Sterility.
this point, the
Yeah,
syringe has already been has violated the container.
I see.
So I
Yeah.
don't care what people are saying. That's just wrong.
Hey, they had
90%
some
of cases.
smart people, probably paid a couple of Darshans to look it over, and
Well, that's the thing. Who's
I remember I even
throwing it
called
up?
and asked the monitor, "Hey, the protocol says
Oh,
this,
I
this, and
believe
this."
you.
They're
I
like, "Yeah, as
believe
long
you.
as you're documenting it, and it's not more than." It was either 24 or 36. I can't remember.
I find that 36 again, is it really that different? I don't know. But like every so often you'll see it even go further and I'd start questioning it at that point.
Yeah.
But this is where my pharmacy background comes into play. Having done this,
And it may have been, this was like 2 years ago. It may have been leave after you do it, put it in the fridge, like where you're documenting the temperature.
right. Again, fridge goes to stability,
Okay.
not
So
sterility.
that's sterility then. Yeah.
Um,
Man, I mean, look, this is why you're here. Baba Yaga is here to scare people.
but hopefully also educate people. And it's not
Well, of
always about the
course,
law. It's sometimes about
broad.
regulatory, and
This is why
sometimes about clinical.
this is why you have ravenous fans that tune in.
Well, I get to work with the one, the only Dan Safara. That's always a blessing.
Well, thank you. Likewise, man.
Um,
By the way, happy late birthday to Darshan,
oh,
everybody.
thank you.
Send him a
Thank you.
happy birthday.
You know
September
what? We were
30th.
going to do a birthday episode, but Mr. Safara was kind enough to say, "Come on another day."
Yeah, I would have sang happy birthday to you, but since it's not your birthday today, I'm not gonna do
I appreciate that. It's embarrassing enough not to have people saying is like too much. Um,
it.
so here, this I find this interesting. We find the response inadequate because you did not give sufficient details, and I think this speaks to how you'd write up a kappa plan.
Yeah.
Way too many people don't give enough details here. You did not give
Ho-
sufficient details regarding the procedures implemented. So here's what I would normally have. You need to have a kappa plan. Most people focus on just the preventative, the corrective action, not the preventative action. If you
Mhm.
do the preventative action, give details. Even consider attaching the new updated policies that go along with it. Don't say it was just a bad training and you'll retrain, because everyone knows that's a cop out.
Yeah, that's a correct, and that's only a corrective action. That's not a preventative. Preventative would be like, hey, we're gonna change our source to make sure that two people are
Correct, correct,
looking.
correct.
Yeah,
But then you still have to train them on that
of
new
course, but that goes without being said.
right.
Yeah.
This I think was interesting as well. Given the significance involving a pediatric patient, we request follow-up documentation to ensure compliance.
Wow. These
That's not good.
pediatric trials get audited way more than adult
Yes.
ones, as they
Yes.
should.
Because the thing is, in the end, the FDA doesn't want to get called out for kids.
That's right. It's bad optics. Just
It's
ask
very bad
RFK.
optics.
Just ask RFK about his thoughts on this.
I used to work one of my rotations at a health insurance company, and we had a general rule: if a kid asks for something, just give it. Like, don't even argue over it, because you don't want to ever be in a situation where a kid's health is compromised. Like within reason, but it's with adults, you start going, okay, do you really need this? Do you not need this? Explain the logic to me.
Hmm.
You don't do that as much with kids because the
You mean
optics
like
are terrible.
rescue meds and stuff?
Yeah, rescue meds and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Failure to conduct, and I find this to be the most interesting because it happens over and over again. This idea of you're responsible to ensure that the studies are conducted in accordance with the investigational plan. Your failure to conduct it in accordance with the protocol to a pediatric subject raises significant concerns.
Yeah.
And this is not a good one. The sponsor should have been the one that's responding. I find it hugely concerning when they raise concerns about validity and integrity of the data collected at your site.
You know what my problem is with this though? Like, yes, of course the PI is responsible.
Yeah.
I think the sponsors delegate way too much of this to the CRO and the
Okay.
CRA. And I've been in these training, quote unquote, training sessions where CRA is going to go through like an important part, like the dosing, right? They're just reading slides. So then
Yeah.
someone asks like a good question that's maybe not on the
On the
slides,
slides. Yeah.
like an exception, right?
Yeah.
And then, but an exception that may happen in real life.
Yeah.
And then the CRA says, that's a good question. I'll get back to you.
What do you think they should say?
I think they should know beforehand, like like this speaks to the kind of CRAs that are being sent out to train. Like this makes the case for why CRAs should be educated on the therapeutic area and better educated on especially the super important like safety aspects, like dose preparation and all this kind of stuff. And saying I'll get back to you when you have the whole team in the room,
Right.
and then saying I'll get back to you, that means the coordinator is going to maybe get an email a day later or 2 days later. And what's that coordinator going to do? Forward it to the PI and all those
Yeah.
people, and I can't read it.
But here's the problem with what you're saying, though. The last thing you want is to give the wrong information. Everyone has the wrong information.
Of course. But how
How
about
do you
give the
balance that out?
right information? Like,
But you
why
literally just
not
said it's an exception.
preemptively know these are gonna be the most frequently asked questions? And
But if you knew that they were the most frequently asked questions, wouldn't you include them in your slides already?
no, they don't include the exceptions. I mean, yeah, the major ones, yes, but there's more to it. And I don't know. I've been in so many of these, man. It's
Right.
like
Right.
a
Right.
little bit frustrating to like. And then I remember okay, CRA SIV's done. Now,
Yeah.
like 2 months later, we actually have a rando,
Right.
and we're trying to remember. Oh, where is those slides? Let me look at those slides. Slides are not very helpful. They're vague.
Yeah.
It says refer to this thing. Now you got to go look for this thing, and then that thing's vague, which is like this cross-reference chart.
Would it be more useful to have them all be like a video that people can keep referring to?
Yes, yes.
Maybe that's the next business, Dan.
Well, these
We
videos are
help
usually
sponsors
behind like
create.
these firewalls, like the vendors are like Firecrest, and they're
Right.
so like secure you can't even access them in most networks. Like it's ridiculous. I've had to for one particular study, I had to because I had to like screen record the video,
Right.
download it, and upload it to our own drive
That's crazy.
just to train the vendors. And eliminate the hour-long bullshit and just like these 2 minutes is what we need to. This is what you need to do.
Right.
Like this 2 minutes. Forget about the other 58 minutes. That's for us.
Right. Right.
You, X-ray tech, this is your 2 minutes. Like I need you to do this. And yeah, I mean, you just gotta MacGyver it. I've had to do it myself.
I think it's an interesting. So I hear you, and I know how frustrating that can be, but I'm also thinking of the practicality of it, which is you're by definition calling out something that's not on the slides. He or she doesn't want to speak out of turn. I think I would tell them to do exactly what you're saying they do, which is let me get back to you. But I feel your
Right, that's
frustration
the
with it.
legal advice. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then the ramifications of that is this warning letter.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, I feel like you have to notify people, and you're not saying that they don't notify you. You're just saying that it comes as an email. And I'd like to have had
Yeah,
it
and like the
told
people
right there.
that were available to be trained are not.
The other
They don't care
thing,
anymore.
the other thing you have to remember, Dan, is you might be in a scenario where these maybe the idea is they can say this is what I think. Let me get back to you and confirm. Would that be a better way to handle it?
I don't know, man. I don't know, honestly. Maybe they need to come twice.
Hmm.
Like, and I know sites will hate that, but when it's something important as dosing and preparing the IP, there's a
Yeah.
couple things you don't want to screw up when you're
Right.
doing research.
Yeah.
One of them is this, like dose, like 10x the dose.
Yeah. With the kid.
Like, okay, that's probably on my top list of what not to do. Like, more on that and less on these diary entries and bury it in. The same weight is given to preparing IP versus a quality of life survey. Like the same time is spent on it, the same space it occupies on the slide.
Do you know why?
There's no
One goes
reference to like what's more important.
one goes to the data that's required, and one goes to the quality of the data that's required. So the
Sure,
investor cares about the data, while the FDA cares about the quality of data.
sure. How about you don't kill or harm patients? Like let's make emphasize that maybe a little more.
If you have to say that, do you really should you really be a clinical trial site?
There's a lot of sites doing these studies and are not properly trained.
Yeah, so don't kill them might not be the place you start. Let's make
No, I
sure you
think that's the place you start. Okay. What is it like what is the oath that the doctors have
do
to
no
take?
evil,
Yeah, yeah. Let's start with that.
do no
Everything else
harm, do
is
no
like
harm,
detail.
do no
Yeah, do
harm.
no harm. Do no evil is Google.
Yeah, don't be evil is
Don't be evil
Google,
is Google.
but
Which
no, I
is
was also thinking
basically
Doctor Evil, but yeah,
yeah, I don't want to get on a tangent. But
correct.
okay, let's start with that. I think actually it's not bad. If you start with let's not harm patients, like this warning letter wouldn't have come up.
But they didn't want that to happen. It's not like it's intentional.
Right, but the priorities are not there. The
Yeah,
priorities are on everything.
right.
Let's teach you how to do diaries properly. Let's teach you how to retain the patients. Let's teach you how to enter queries. Like, come on, man. Like, we all know how to do that. We can figure that out. The monitor's gonna tell us this. What about how not to harm patients first? Like, put it first. Everything okay, next is, like, adverse events of special interest. Alright. Next, like, just go down the hierarchy until you get to the mundane. By the time you get to the mundane, let the doctors leave. Like, go do something else. This is for the coordinator. How to answer a query. Why does the doctor have to be there? Why does the NP why are you spending the same amount of time on that as how not to harm a patient? I'll get off my soapbox, but
No,
this
no, no. It's an interesting soapbox. I'm trying to think through it. It's a valuable soapbox,
is
even.
common
But
sense, man.
because what I'm hearing you say, Dan, and I think it's an interesting angle, which is maybe there's a write up, and maybe I'm not the person to write up. I love writing up and getting these things published, but you come from a place of practicality. That's what
Yeah.
I think you add as a valuable tool.
I'm
But
trying to
how
avoid if
should
I can
protocols be
avoid
written?
this letter for my site, it's a successful year, right? I don't care if we're late entering data.
Great.
Like, that's fine. We're not harming patients. That's more
Yeah,
important.
I agree. But I wonder if it speaks to the order of training. And this is a new proposed order whenever you're training a new site. So don't get into how to input patient diaries. Yes, it speaks to the quality of data,
Yeah.
but maybe we start from patient safety. And here are the big things we think should be in patient
Exactly.
safety.
Look, if the coordinator learned how to not harm the patient, but they didn't learn how to configure the diary,
Right.
let the coordinator deal with the help desk the day of. It's going to be inconvenient to the patient. That's fine.
Yeah.
But at least you're not harming the the
Right.
patient.
Right.
You know, that part there's some forgivable missteps,
Yeah.
and then there's unforgivable ones like the one you
Now, would you consider this an unforgivable one?
which one?
Well, the 10x the dose.
Of course. You could kill someone.
You could 1000%, but that's what I'm saying. But you just said that people still make that mistake every day.
No, the potential for this to be made is every day. I wouldn't be surprised if people are making it every day, but
Sure.
I don't know that for a fact.
Right. But that's my point.
Yeah.
My point is it happens every single day. If it's unforgivable, we
And that's
can't.
the priority. The priorities need to be
Yeah.
flipped. Like, dude, you guys need to focus on the important shit.
You guys heard it here first. Dan Safar is finally going to write an article on how do you do a training program correctly.
Well, it's not correctly because the investors are going to say, "Well, what about our data?" Of course, like it's not correct, but it's all you want to talk risk mitigation from a patient safety standpoint, not risk mitigation because your study is going to take a few months longer,
Yeah.
but risk mitigation from the sense of we're not harming patients, our doctors are at least not getting these kind of 483s.
Right.
To me, it's worth it.
No, I think it's a valid thing. Now, I know you have a meeting coming up soon. Do you want to take on
At
another one?
9:30, we could take on another one. If you don't mind me eating a bagel, I got me a nice
No,
little
no, no.
breakfast here.
We can try one more. Though I do need to, do you want to do one more at the PI level, or do you want to do like scripts?
Whatever, no, not PI level. But I think we gotta save for the.
Okay.
That way, it's consistent themed.
Oh, we did this one. We did do doctor because this was Lubin Poland.
Hmm. And just to refresh my memory, his thing was not
Failure to maintain
randomized.
adequate case histories.
Yeah, so they were not getting. Oh yeah, the scores. They didn't know they were not like patients that actually should have qualified.
Well, I think in this case they didn't have accurate case histories. I don't know if they uh yeah, they put it in later on based on
Yeah.
sort of the
This speaks
memory.
to data integrity, and this is risk
Correct.
mitigation for like investors and the
Correct.
business people. I
Correct.
mean, it's bad. You don't want, you can still get a 483, but
Well,
from
this is a warning letter, just to be clear. So that's
a
worse than a
warning
483.
letter,
Yeah.
from a, let's say I'm a site owner, right? Like,
Right.
I know you're going to say extreme cases, the site owners go to jail. I know, but we're not
Sure.
committing fraud.
Sure.
Really, it's the PI's responsibility. As a site owner, I don't care who is responsible for what. If a
Yeah.
patient is seriously harmed and I was in charge, I'm not sleeping. Like, how are you gonna live with that?
Right.
With data like this kind of stuff, you can sleep. I mean, this is yeah,
That's
it's
not
bad.
ideal,
It
but it's
sucks.
not. Yeah.
It's not ideal, but it's not gonna haunt you. You kill a patient, man. Like, that's not leaving you if you're a decent person.
I do find it a little funny because it's so easy to actually identify the. I mean, they tell you what the study is. I could probably tell you. I mean, this is protocol ID. I mean, now,
The
now
other one, they
purely.
they masked it more.
Well, I don't even know if that's true. Hold on.
Yeah, I was trying to read it, but the other
Uh,
one was the other one was masked.
well, they masked the protocol number. This one they did not.
Hmm.
Let's see if we can find a protocol number in clinicaltrials.gov just to see if we can do it.
And then the next step, Darshan, to be a site owner, is when you're on clinicaltrials.gov to email 10 sponsors before you leave about getting a new study for your site.
There you go.
You can do that live on the pod.
We'll do it right now. Let's see what happens.
Darshan, would you ever open a site?
I would not,
Why?
because you remember you spoke earlier today and you said I have other things I'd rather spend my time on.
Yeah.
I want to try some other stuff.
So you like helping sites, but you wouldn't want to actually.
Correct. I love helping sites because I find it to be like a fun problem to solve.
But don't you ever think like, oh man, this site has so much potential if they just fix
Oh,
these
all the
things.
time. All the
So isn't
time.
that tempting for you to just say I can do it?
Um, no, it's not. Not even a little bit.
So does that mean it's not easy then?
Oh, did I suggest at any point that it was easy? It is never easy.
No, but people think.
Oh, never. Never. Anyone who thinks that running a site is easy is out of their minds. Okay,
SaveOurSites.com. Get that early bird ticket.
there you go. So help me figure this out together. This is a protocol number 161403. How do I search for a study based on that?
Remove protocol.
But
Remove
where do
the
I
word
put it?
protocol.
Yeah, let's go back. Intervention treatment, other terms.
See if
Search.
that pops up.
Yeah, these are the right ones.
Now we gotta just figure out because they have all these sister protocols and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, this one's in Phoenix and
But
in Brazil.
at least you get to
Plus 83 other locations. We need the one that has Lubin in it.
Georgia, right?
So this is male greater than, so this can't be the right one.
So yeah, when they do these things, they do pediatric and then one for adults.
It's got to be this one.
Psoriatic arthritis.
This was by Takeda,
See,
apparently.
it was probably a map.
Oh, we're talking about a different one right now, aren't we? We're talking about
The one
Red
from
Shack.
Atlanta, right?
This
Oh,
is
you're talking about the one from Poland?
correct. We're doing the Poland one right now.
Ah, yeah.
The one from Atlanta didn't have that.
That one might be harder to find on ct.gov.
Yeah. Though even that, you wanna try to find them?
You probably could.
I mean, we just look for the PI.
No, sometimes they
I don't know if
have
that'll work. It might be worth a.
It might work like 30% of the time.
Yeah.
As someone who used to be on this website daily, hourly, I'm
Yeah,
not on it anymore. We use our DSCS site services. Message me for more information.
Well, to give them the more information.
We'll kind of do this stuff for you. Like we can figure out when there's financing activity for biotechs, and we kind of know based on our inbound leads what sponsors are interested in starting studies, and we'll send you those leads every week.
Wow.
I have my coordinators do it now. Luis just gave me an obesity one the other day that I messaged on LinkedIn. Let's see if that guy got back to me. While we're
Everyone's really hot on obesity studies right now.
Yeah, it's another GLP one too. Did he get back to me? No, which is not uncommon. But will that stop me? No. I'll find a way.
You'll find a way. So hold on. So this was attention information because I find
By
it
the way,
interesting
this
because we
is
already have results. But
this
go
is
ahead.
riveting podcast material, guys. For those of you listening, I'm eating a bagel on Darshan's scanning clinicaltrials.com,
I
looking
think it's
for a study
interesting
from
because I
Poland.
get to. Oh, here it is. Your study number. So this is the right study.
Okay,
So it was a Shire study.
man, don't get me started. That one of the can I if I did a study 10 years ago, can I talk about
No,
no? Can
no,
I
I
talk
wouldn't
about
touch
the
it.
company?
No, you don't want to get sued for defamation if that's what you're doing.
Okay.
I would.
Shire was in Lord of the Rings, I believe. That's the Shire I'm referring to, just
That is the
for
Shire you're referring to.
post
There you
reference.
go. It used to be Takeda, but Salta now part of Shire. So I don't fully know. It's Takeda or Shire. I guess Shire got bought out by Takeda.
I love Takeda.
There you go.
Can you get sued for that?
No.
So,
Um.
defamation, just asking as a lawyer now. Defamation is like saying something that can't be proven to be true
Yeah.
about a company.
Well, a defense is it's truthful. So it can be an opinion. It has to be truthful.
Oh, so you're allowed to give opinions.
No, opinions become the problem, right? So you can't say things like, you can say screw Donald Trump, but you cannot say Donald Trump does blah 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 because that's a step too
Are these
far.
people ever on Twitter? Do they not see what's going on there? All right.
Question, do they choose to go after people?
Okay. Now, what about can you get sued for the opposite, saying, "Hey, I love Takeda. They're amazing." Like,
So you can in a very specific way. So for example, if you depended on that claim to make a decision and you never actually disclosed that you work for Takeda, there
pure
are some
goodwill.
lawsuits.
Pure goodwill. I did a study and I had a very good experience.
That nothing stops you from saying that
Now they did pay me
outside.
on that study. They paid me well,
Well, then
but they didn't pay me to say that, and so did other sponsors pay me well, but I didn't say the same thing about them.
I think you'd probably be able to defend that a lot easier.
Okay.
I had an interesting conversation at the last conference I went to about incentive payments. And you know how so we had probably about 25, 30 sponsors in the room.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how people want to like have their studies enroll first and you'll like give incentive payments. Every single sponsor in the room said we don't pay incentive payments. And I was like, how are all of you saying that when I know those payments are being given out?
Is this an incentive payment? If you randomize within 30 days of site activation, you will get X dollars.
Yes, that is an incentive payment.
We see that a lot. Not often, but it happens.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
And it definitely works because then I tell the site, okay, listen, we got to go focus
It
on
means
this.
that people have not thought through the legal considerations of this. It means that
What about
someone
rapid study startup? If you can get your study startup documents done in 30 days and all your Raider training.
So at that point, you are more worried about kickbacks. Because shouldn't they be doing that anyways?
They should, but we'll treat you extra nice if you do it.
That's the thing. That's a kickback. That's literally the definition of a kickback.
All right. You are the Batman.
Well, do I not have a Batman? I have a Batman one there. I have a lot of statue.
Maybe you could be Justice League research.
Ooh. See, I like to go for the Superman one. I'm much more Superman here, fanatic.
Why?
I always thought Superman. I love the idea that someone is so good that they're going just want to be normal. Having said that, are you a superhero person?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably go with more Iron Man, like someone who created.
I do like Iron Man, but no,
someone who created his powers.
Superman person. But did you hear about? They just chose Green Lantern yesterday.
The new one?
Yeah,
because the last one sucked.
Last one was Ryan Reynolds, actually.
It wasn't great though. The movie.
Oh, even he agreed that it wasn't great. But the point being, you know who's playing the new one? Josh Brolin.
Who's that?
He's Thanos.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's odd.
Right?
Hmm.
So that should be interesting. Okay, you know what? You should eat your bagel. We should call it.
We didn't even get into the side gigs for doctors, but that's next. That's
Definitely.
next.
Definitely. 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, the
Same
next
bat
Fraud
time,
Talk.
same bat channel.
And you guys don't want to miss out on that. That one's going to be special.
I
Like,
love it.
subscribe, comment, share. Apologize for eating breakfast, and go follow Darshan right now. What's wrong with you? Bye bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.